Hi, and welcome to the sixth Muse on the Introvert Biz Growth podcast, the show where I talk to introverts who grow their business and make a difference. I'm Sarah Santacroce, as always. This is my podcast. I'm your host. And if you're new here, then I want you to know that this is not the usual format of my regular episodes. I post a new show every other Friday, and it's always a conversation with a fellow introverted entrepreneur who uses his or her introverted superpowers to make a difference. These shows are edited by Tim, my professional podcast editor, who also creates amazing show notes pages. But today's episode is a muse. Unedited, raw content, no intro music, as you noticed, no bells and whistles. I share these muses to make you think, to inspire you, to break the rules, and to eventually invite you to the gentle business revolution when it's ready. Today's muse is again composed of two parts. First, I muse by myself about mandalas and how they relate to marketing. And then I'll also share a quick conversation I had with Tom Schwab, another previous podcast guest, fellow introvert, and friend of mine about the topic marketing with integrity. So let's start out by talking about mandalas and marketing. And I want to start out by reading you a quote by Raj Sisodia. It goes like this: "The 21st century marketing paradigm reflects a customer-centric mindset that turns marketers into healers, where our role is to cure, restore health, soundness, and spiritual wholeness." It's a beautiful quote, isn't it? Now, if you're on my mailing list, you might have seen that I'm currently beta launching a new kind of marketing program. As I was coming up with the outline for this program, I kept thinking back to this quote. And then when I researched the 7 P's of marketing, a traditional marketing model with 7 P's, I saw it very clearly. Yes, the conscious marketing process is represented in the form of a mandala. And why a mandala? Well, mandala is Sanskrit for circle, essence, or container. So any creative process that happens in a circle can be referred to as a mandala. It is a creative process that brings us closer to our center. Mandalas are cosmic diagrams, attempts to represent the essential elements of the macrocosm in an ordered, coherent manner. And Carl Jung, in his exploration of his own interior life, began to make mandalas and discovered how good the process was for helping him peel away the layers and get to his center. He used them in the therapy to help others get to their center. So what does all of that have to do with marketing? Well, if we go back to the quote, it's all about coming to our center and really, first heal ourselves. And then our role is to be healers, to cure, restore health, soundness, and spiritual wholeness. So that's why I chose to use a mandala, and this mandala will guide participants through the program as we discover the conscious version of the 7 P's. And those 7 P's in the conscious version of marketing are passion, personal power, people, product, pricing, promotion, and process. I think the best way to really visualize this is to actually go and look at the mandala that I'm so proud that my 15-year-old son Simon created for me. So I gave him the traditional model and I was like, okay, I need a mandala. Can you do this? And he uses online programs for drawing. And so he created this beautiful representation of the 7 P's in the form of a mandala. So if you're curious, you can go check that out. I'm creating this program for you, dear fellow introvert, and the working title is Anxiety-Free Marketing for the Conscious Entrepreneur. And I'm looking for a small group of business owners who are tired of the mainstream marketing advice that gives us anxiety and are looking for a more holistic approach to marketing. one that is aligned with our values and our strong moral principles. So I invite you to check out this marketing paradigm shift that will help you to finally achieve your true potential as a quiet leader. You can go to sarahsantacroce.com/anxiety-free marketing to check out all the details and look at the mandala. We start on January 3rd. I'd love to have you. And now, as promised, here's my conversation with Tom Schwab about the topic marketing with integrity and what that means to him. Tom, so good to see you again.
Sarah, it's great to connect with you again.
Thank you so much. So, as I just explained offline, I'm doing this Muse episodes, and I'm talking about marketing with integrity. As you probably know, as a fellow introvert, integrity is something that is really close to our hearts, I would say. So, what comes up for you when I say these words, marketing with integrity?
I don't know that there's a difference, right? So there's either marketing, and marketing has to have integrity. If you don't have integrity in your marketing, it's probably sleazy. It's probably being a snake oil salesman. I just look at things are so transparent today. There's no secrets anymore. Everything's out there on the internet. So if you don't have integrity, if you're not consistent, people are going to see that really quickly. Mm-hmm. And I believe today it's never been easier to sell something online. If you want to sell something, just be a penny cheaper than the other person, right? But if you want to build a long-term business where profits come from, where service comes from, that's never been harder. Because you've got to have the integrity. You've got to have that focus on the service. So I look at, when you say marketing with integrity, I look at marketing as something great, something that adds value. And I always strive up to that. I think a lot of people, when they hear marketing, they're just like, oh, and they want to wash their hands because it feels so slimy. To me, that's not marketing. That's using people, not adding value. Mm-hmm. So I'm so glad you're having this conversation.
Yeah. So do you still see that happening, or do you see that the majority of people are doing marketing the right way, which is with integrity?
I see it more and more, but I see both sides, and I think it's becoming more polarized. So it's pretty easy to pick out the people that are snake oil salesmen or just in it to make a buck or a quick buck. And it's funny sometimes, the brand and the marketing, it's like every 6 months they're an expert on something new, or the company's doing something new. And you're just like, wow, that doesn't seem like consistent with what they are, what they said. But it's the ones that keep coming back over and over. Consistency, integrity, same message. I think that's when people get to know, like, and trust you. Mm-hmm. So I think it's never been easier to put yourself out there. And some people are trying to use some kind of formula or copy somebody else. Mm-hmm. And I think it's working against them. In fact, there's a book out there that teaches you how to launch a new product. And it's a great book from what it teaches and stuff like that. But a lot of people will take that and just copy it word for word. And I remember my wife coming to me one time, and Karen said, this person, I've worked with them, I followed them for a long time, and all of a sudden they started sending these emails that don't sound consistent. And so I looked at one of the emails and I said, I bet you dinner this weekend that I can tell you the subject line of their next email. And she's like, no way. So I went and opened up the book and I'm like, okay, yeah, he's on email 3. I said, the next subject line will be this. Yeah. And I won dinner that weekend. So I look at that and say, there's somebody that just didn't have integrity. They weren't honest to themselves and who they were. They were just trying to take what somebody else had done and copy it and make it their own. And so from that standpoint, they weren't authentic. And to me, integrity, authenticity, all that comes together.
Can you really blame them, but though? Because this really resonates with me, because I'm calling it the doing marketing with a chameleon suit. Wearing a chameleon suit, so fitting into any kind of situation, any kind of client, and copying what other people tell you to do, right? And I've been wearing the chameleon suit myself. I admit it. It's like, okay, you follow these gurus, they tell you do this, and you're like, well, I guess he's successful, so let's try this, right? And it's exactly what you're saying, this book about launching or any other kind of strategy, how to sell on webinars. And so we're trying these techniques, and it's true, it just doesn't fit with our authentic self, right? But in order to know that, well, I guess you just have to experience it yourself.
Well, I think on all of these, it's important to understand what they're trying to teach you. Uh-huh. What's the lesson behind it? Why does it work? You don't necessarily need to copy it word for word, especially if you read it and go, that's not me. Or ask somebody does this sound like me? And no disrespect to the people that are out there teaching it, because I think they want people to help.
Yeah.
They want to help people. But if I told you, Sarah, yesterday I went to the supermarket and you have to go to aisle number 2. Aisle number 2 was the fastest one. If you want to get in and out, go to aisle number 2. Well, I'm trying to help you, but what I'm talking about is a different market at a different space and time. So what you have to do is really ask, well, why was aisle number 2 the quickest? What can I learn about that? What can I apply to my market at my time to do that? Because, the answers change with time, but the strategy doesn't change over time.
Yeah, so true. Yeah. So what about your marketing? What works for you? What's your best way of marketing your business? Obviously podcasts, I assume.
Podcasts, definitely, but I've also started to become more comfortable in front of the camera. I originally hated being on podcasts because I was so self-aware of my voice. And somebody pointed out, you don't have to listen to yourself. And then I'd go on to videos, and I just hated the way I looked on video. But the more I did it, the more I got over it. And to me, just putting myself out there of who I am, because a lot of times we'll judge our marketing by metrics that don't mean anything. So how many likes did I get from it? How many views did I get from it? Well, you can't eat likes and views. You can only, eat from the dollars from customers. So from that standpoint, I don't have to be seen by hundreds of thousands of people. I just need to be seen by the people that really connect with me. And I've gotten comfortable now that even when I'm on a podcast interview, there's 3 types of people that listen to me. The first group, and I don't know, maybe they're the largest group. They're like, Tom is an idiot. All right. I'm not saying that they're bad or I'm bad, but I can tell you one thing. We will not work well together. The other ones are the ones that say, hey, that was interesting, but then they go on with their life. They didn't need what I have to offer right now. And then the third group is, wow, he understands me. He gets me. He's helped people with me. And those are the really ones that I want to connect with. I was on a panel one time and somebody said, it was something ungodly. It was like, you need 75 new people on your list, 75 new leads every day. And I looked at him and said, I couldn't serve 75 new clients every day, every week. And they said, well, no, not clients, but people on your list. And I'm like, why would I want them on my list if they wouldn't be great customers? Waste my time, waste their time. So I think at a certain point, depending what you're selling, right? If it's to the masses, if you need 1 million customers, well, maybe you're going to have to be a little bit more of a chameleon and appeal to everybody. But I just look at it as this is the way I am. And if you like me, that's great. If you don't like me, let's find that out early, because there's somebody else that could better serve you. So I think that marketing with integrity is also having integrity with yourself too. I don't look like a Hollywood star. I don't sound like a voiceover actor, but it's who I am. And I think if I'm comfortable with it, other people will be comfortable with it too. And it's just taking time.
Yeah, that's it's really the message here is to get comfortable with yourself, getting to know yourself better, know your values, know what you stand for, in order to attract people who like that, right? Like you as a person first, and then like what you have to offer.
Yeah.
Great conversation. Thank you so much, Tom, for taking the time and sharing this with us. I can guarantee you that people on this podcast will be part of that third group. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Sarah. And I appreciate all you do. And, anybody that says doing this is easy has never done it well. And only the great ones make it look easy. So thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks so much for listening to this Muse. Again, if the mandala idea and the idea of anxiety-free marketing piqued your interest, please check out sarahsantacroce.com/anxiety-free marketing. We start on January 3rd, and I'd love to have you to co-create this new marketing paradigm. Have a wonderful week.